Do you want to tell people your little secret about shooting this film that you told me when we finished the night exteriors?
I don't know why I didn't realize I didn't tell you.
What, it was me, you, and 7 other people or something, probably not even that. And we had to transform a very 20th century bar into a bar of the future in less than 12 hours and shoot it all in the same time.
The big thing was the shelves behind the bar. It was originally filled with lots of odd trinkets and clutter and Polaroid photos of people.
It's amazing when when I first came, I saw the set before it got transformed. And then I went to go hair and makeup and I stayed in the room, the dressing room, and then I came out and it was just like a whole different year.
We brought these retro TVs in because if we don't have paper and we don't have posters, but the state is such an integral part of everyone. Like there's no point in that world where the state is not trying to tell you something. And so I thought that was a fun way to reinforce the intensity of that and show how much it's in their everyday life. So we have messages about robosexuality being illegal, but also other aspects like curfew in effect to kind of carve out the other corners of the system.
Immediately, I liked the set because it already got me into that character mindset. Just little things like the glass containers or the shot glasses, just little things tweaked in certain lights in certain areas. And then when I saw that, I was like, okay, now it's hitting me.
We did have one issue, like right off the bat, was the strip lights, the LED light broke. Or was just non-functional, even though it had been tested, but something happened. But long story short, we had to just scrap it. There was no time to waste trying to troubleshoot this light. That was probably the most stressful part of the day, was just like making sure the day was gonna start.
I think, wasn't my call time like 4 or something like that? And then naturally I was like 45 minutes early. So like, I was there at like 3-something a.m. I felt like pretty much that whole time I kind of felt like a zombie until it was all done and over and I was like, okay, now I'm sparked.
What April pulled off was unbelievable.
The first thing I thought of is like, what can we do to change the finish of the natural human skin and have it pair nicely and make this beautiful dance with the lighting that you're giving it. The first thing I thought is, okay, we have to keep the kind of the gold feel because these neon purple magenta tones are gonna really pop against that and give it just this wonderful sheen.
How long was that makeup process for you on the day of the shoot?
So, I mean, that process, it definitely felt long, but I was also like waking up at that time. I think I had like 2 coffees and 2 Red Bulls. Like it was a lot. I had to wake up basically.
And she was an angel to work with. Like these makeups can be a frustrating thing to have yourself covered in paint and that kind of thing. And she just loved it.
I felt very grateful because that's such a tedious job to be doing. And for someone to choose me to be doing that, it meant a lot to me because you guys literally could have chosen anyone to do that. And you chose to go with me and spend 3 hours on my face. So it felt special. When
you were in costume and makeup, you transform. Like you, as soon as that happened, like you were in character like the whole day long. And unfortunately, it was part of it was because you couldn't like move your face because the makeup would crack and you have to reapply. But it was like, even when you just like walked in, like all of the crew afterwards were like, yeah, when she walked in, it like felt like there was like a robot walking around.
I can't get over the makeup, so good.
So good.
So good.
So good. So good.
She scared me outside. I was like, oh, this is just too much. I already feel like I'm in the world and it's overwhelming. I love it though.
You get that first shot off and it's just like, all right, now it's where things, the ball starts to get rolling, and you start to get into a rhythm.
I really love like Wong Kar-wai's work, and that has a lot to do with just like mirrors and stuff. He likes to create like kind of like a voyeuristic kind of look. He's really good at depicting like isolation and loneliness, which I feel was like something that I noticed in the character Jane, of just like she is going into like a completely unfamiliar kind of environment, trying something new, but like kind of always just like looking over her shoulder kind of feel. So I wanted to bring in that like voyeuristic, lonely vibe.
Are you sure you don't want a pop of blue on this edge right here?
Mike was like running to and fro, to the left, to the right, to the back, to the front.
This isn't making the cut.
I think Janine was unbelievably able to try different things at all times. Like on the spin of a dime, she tried so many different versions of the same thing, which I was very impressed by.
I'm fully understanding Jane. I have to tell her story right. That was just in my mindset, like tell her story right, just be honest and blunt, and just always find the love in the character. She's not an evil person. She has her faults like all of us. It was just, remember on set, it was that one line I kept forgetting. I was like, yo, what is up with this line?
It makes me laugh every time I still hear that line, because I'm just remembering. It was that line from hell.
That one line, I was like,
Next time around, in these 15 people, someone that I definitely want to have is an AD.
Just that voice that like, great, we're moving on, who could immediately just like say, this is the next shot, this is the next setup based on the schedule. Whereas like, I'd be like, okay, cut. And then I'd like go over and look at the thing and cross it off. So the next kind of stuff that we have with Spark. So in the meantime, we can do the Michael's inserts, bartender pouring the shots in his kind of reaction shots.
I was really inspired by queer nightlife, rave, underground techno music, kind of like the underground warehouse clubs in Berlin, like Berghain, The Matrix. Also to pull in some inspirations from high fashion, like some Rick Owens, Gareth Pugh, really incorporating synthetic fabrics was a big inspiration. Because when I was reading the deck, I really saw in the future less organic materials being available. And so using like PU, plastic, and metal as like ways that people would adorn themselves, and not so much organic materials like wool and cotton. All the light up pieces actually came from this queer underwear brand called Breedwell that I've done work for in the past. A lot of the pieces are light up harnesses or light up fetish wear, which is extremely niche. And so the fact that we were able to find these pieces that relate to like queer nightlife and look futuristic, I thought was like a great find for us. And it was an excuse to put Omer in a harness, which I've been wanting to do for years.
I had a couple of very specific goals that I wanted to do, which I think I achieved, which was one, make sure that the crew and just the vibe of the set was a positive experience for everyone.
I've been working during COVID, so some sets are a little slack than others. Your set was the first time where I actually got my temperature taken at the door. I felt good, I felt safe, I felt comfortable.
And then the other one was I wanted to just be much more communicative with the actors and being able to articulate what we're doing, why we're doing it.
Do I see her coming over?
Yeah, so you've just seen her. You kind of looked back down a little nervously, and then the hello is like she's over your shoulder.
I got you.
Communicate to everyone, not just the actors, but also like the camera and the sound, and making sure that everybody knew what we were doing at all times.
I appreciated the way you had us meet up before we got started. And then also the fact that I got to meet Benno and I got to meet the makeup artist before. It was all good. So it was like I was going to do my job with people I know. I felt comfortable the whole time, which is important to me. I felt heard. I felt safe. I just felt good. I felt like I could focus on my job versus everything else, you know?
That, everybody, is a wrap on Kendra and Jimmy. Do you want to tell people your little secret about shooting this film that you told me in the car when we finished the night exteriors?
That this is my first narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why I didn't realize I didn't tell you, but I could have sworn I mentioned like, oh yeah, I've never done one, but I'm happy to. But I wanted to.
What a like you did such a good job, period. And then the fact that this was your first narrative was like blew my mind. I could not be like happier with how everything turned out. And I think that's just goes to show like your skill set and your ability to just like make it work, whatever the situation is. We have officially wrapped production.
Hell yeah.
In Roosevelt Island. Woo!
What a weird place.